I remember the first time that I realized I was capable of dying. As a child, dreaming of the ground splitting open and pulling me into an abyss of which I could never escape. I remember the fear of trying to imagine the impossible. What is it like to not be alive? A question that every self-aware being has asked themselves countless times. There were nights that I would pray to God for salvation of myself and loved ones, in hopes that if I should ever cease to be alive, I wouldn't be sent to a realm of forever torture. I thought about what it must be like to burn in a lake of fire for eternity. How long would it take before the scorching temperatures ceased to hurt? Surely eventually my body would acclimate and a burning lake would feel like nothing more than a relaxing dip in a hot tub. Then how would I spend the rest of my time in hell? Or perhaps I would be sent to heaven where I would be immersed in pure bliss. What does one do when they are so blissful that they feel no sense of wanting? Would I just sit there on a cloud, placid and content? No need to talk or even to move? No need to think? Pure blissful nothingness, forever and ever and ever. And then what? After life, after heaven, after hell? Does time just stop? And if it did, what happens after that? After a while, the whole idea of spending an eternity in torment or paradise just seemed ridiculous. My prayers stopped, but my thoughts about what happens after death did not. If I die, where does my consciousness go? As I would lie in bed defying sleep, my thoughts were trapped in an infinite loop, trying to comprehend what infinity means. How can it be possible? It made me dizzy and uneasy. It was easier just not to think about it at all. As years passed, I started to study the universe. I'd always heard that the universe was infinite, yet it was somehow expanding. How does something with no size limit get larger? I learned that we can only observe a portion of the universe, and that past our sight is unknown. Many people I talked to refused to think about this vast, endless world that we live in. It made them scared and their stomachs queasy. It brings the feeling that our small, simple understanding of life can never comprehend the true reality of forever, of endlessness, of infinity. Philosophers and mathematicians have spent their entire lives studying the logistics of infinity, only to spiral into a depression and kill themselves. It is this overwhelming fear of forever that makes death so terrifying. While we are alive, we see the beginning and the end, we experience a length of time that can be understood, but we know that after death, all is a mystery. Yet perhaps this way of thinking is due to our lack of knowledge about the true nature of time and space. Maybe it's just our intuitive perception of existence that allows us to think of a concept like infinity and regard it as an absolute truth of the universe. Our intuition is often misguided and false. So could it be that infinity as we know it is misguided and false as well? I believe so. And I believe it because, until this past century, our misconception of time was that it was a man-made fallacy, a concept thought up to simply explain the passing of hours on a clock to the passing of years in our lives. But when ideas such as Einstein's theory of relative time were revealed, our understanding of time changed to that of an elastic and warped fabric, embedded in the very three-dimensional world that we know is our reality. In a similar manner that we have spatial dimensions like forward and backwards, left and right, and up and down, we have the past and future. But unlike our ability to walk forward and then turn around and walk backwards, we can only experience time in one direction, moment to moment, like walking down a road one step at a time, but being blind to what's right in front of you and right behind you. As a result, our common sense creates the illusion that time in the past no longer exists, and that time in the future has yet to exist. This is how we experience time. However, it's not the way that it actually is. The way we think about death being the end of life is just a result of us only thinking that time moves forward. Imagine if you could experience the past, present, and future all at once, from your birth to everything you do while alive to your death. Unfortunately, we cannot, and are left with the fear that dying is the end and that everything in the past simply stops existing. But time and space are not linear how we experience it. It warps and twists and folds in on itself. We think of infinity as a straight arrow forever going outward, but perhaps it too folds in on itself in a way in which our minds can't comprehend in our three-dimensional world. Our fear comes when we try to rationalize a concept that we will never truly understand. So why are we afraid of something that we can't even understand? Why try to rationalize the irrational? The truth is, we don't fully know the nature of time. So how could we understand the nature of infinity as it relates to time? Maybe dying only seems like the end because it's the only direction that we can see. The Greek philosopher Epicurus elegantly stated that death does not concern us. For as long as we exist, death is not here. And when it does come, we no longer exist. So concern yourself with life. It is all we know, and it may be all we will ever know. But time is not simple enough to fear.